Good afternoon. Welcome to the Midday Mull for Saturday, the 19th of August. With McShane, we're working our way through Samuel, today reading 1 Samuel chapter 11, where Saul rescues the people of Jabesh Gilead. What had happened was that Nahash the Ammonite came up and besieged them, and so they asked him for terms of peace, and his response to them was fairly harsh. Nahash the Ammonite replied, "I will make a treaty with you only on the condition that I gouge out the right eye of every one of you, and so bring disgrace on all Israel." And as I read that, I thought, that's cruel. And you can just imagine what that does in a community and how that affects people. And you think that's evil. And that immediately made me think of some of the news stories we've read, where places in West Africa, where some of those rebel groups invade a town and then chop people's hands off. You think of some of the stories that we have that came out of Syria and Afghanistan and the Ukraine, and you realize that 3,000 years later, people don't actually necessarily behave much better than they did back then. And cruelty is still so much part of our humanity. And as I read that, I thought, it's to be expected. Sinful, fallen humanity will do sinful, evil things. That's our natural tendency. And that just highlights the need for the gospel, the need for God to intervene. And so in the world we live in today, we pray that things get better, but until there is a turning to God, until people align themselves with God, until people let God's Spirit fill them, that's not going to happen. And we sometimes think that when God's Spirit fills us, we're going to be really nice and gentle people. But we also read a little later in the chapter, when Saul heard their words, and this message of what's going to happen comes to Saul. When Saul heard their words, the Spirit of God came upon him in power, and he burned with anger. And sometimes as we engage with society, I believe the Spirit of God needs to come upon us, and we need to burn with anger at what we see and what's going on. And we need to be inspired by the Spirit, burning with anger to do something. And we saw that happened back in the 80s as the church and Christians opposed apartheid and could change the situation. And in our society and in our world today, we need Christians to continue and be inspired by the Spirit to oppose evil, to stand for good, to align with God, and to bring change. Saul, with the Spirit inspiring him, was able to go and rescue Jabesh Gilead. And we pray that God's Spirit will enable us to step out into our fallen world, preach the gospel, and rescue people as well. Be challenged, be encouraged, be blessed.